Welcome back, YouTube viewers. Today we're going to go farther on the top deck. We're doing a lot more mechanical stuff today. We're going to be working on the tape guide assembly. This is one giant assembly that controls a lot of functions, and it's controlled by a couple of servo motors inside. And we'll show you exactly what's going on. I'll show you everything about it and basically what we're going to do to this thing. So, come on along for the ride and watch this. This is a front view of the tape deck, so you can see the tape guide assembly, the part we're going to work on today. And the tape guide assembly consists of a few things. First is the left tape guide roller. There's then the right tape guide roller. It also contains the pinch roller. And finally, the last item in there is the tape lifter. Now, before I actually work on this or take it apart, I think it would be wise to understand what this does. So let me go to a picture right out of the manual showing the tape path, and we could understand what this tape guide assembly actually does. So this illustration is from the half-inch or quarter-inch tape manual. So it's a little different, but for the most part, it's about the same, and you're going to see the same stuff on this. This, of course, is not the 2-inch machine, but for all intents and purposes on what we're going to talk about, it's going to work fine. It shows the tape path totally from the supply reel, which is on the left, to the take-up reel, which is on the right, and shows the tape, how it goes through the various guides and gets over to the take-up reel that's on the right. Now let me show you the exact same thing we looked at on the 2-inch machine. There's the left guide roller, the right guide roller, the pinch roller, and it's not in there, but it's going to be, the tape lifter would be about right there. Now in this illustration here, the tape is actually in like a fast forward or rewind position. So what's happened is those two tape guide rollers, left and right, and the pinch roller, including the tape lifter, have all backed away from the tape heads, which are right here. So you could also see now that the tape lifter assembly will actually not lift the tape, but push the tape back across the head. So both of those rollers will push inwards. The cap or the pinch roller then will press against the capstan motor, and it will drive the tape right there. So the two rollers jump in. The lifter obviously gets out of the way. Pinch roller goes in against the capstan, and it goes into a play mode. Or if it was in an edit mode, it would be close to that, and it could actually be able to jog the tape across there because you need to hear the tape as it's doing there. So this is what the tape lifter assembly does, or the tape guide assembly does. It actually moves the tape in and out from the heads so that we can actually fast forward it, spool it, do anything we want to do with the tape, and gets it away from the heads so we don't wear out the heads as we're spooling this across there real quickly. Now, with that understanding, let's take this apart. So that covers, on this thing right here, all that cover's got to come off, and this tape guide assembly is going to come out. It actually is fastened in with 3 screws and a couple of pins because it's located precisely in the correct location. So let's see what it looks like when we take it off of the machine. Okay, so this is the tape guide assembly removed from the machine, and here's all those parts again without the rollers on them. That's the left roller shaft. Of course, then here's the right roller shaft, the pinch roller shaft, and finally the lifter assembly. Now, there's 12 bearings involved in these things here. Let's look at them. There's some right here, and here, and here, and here, here, and finally here. So what's got to happen now is we have to take this all apart, clean, lubricate, and replace, if necessary, those 12 bearings. Now, the beauty about this is, even though there's 12 bearings there, there's only really 4 of them that actually have a roller assembly on it. The left guide roller has 2, and the right guide roller 2. The other ones are really hinging arms that are moving. So, they're going to be clean and everything, and we'll clean them out and lubricate them, make sure they're good. But we're not going to be worried that there's a little bit of, whatever, dirt for feel to that, because it's really those arms pivoting versus the rollers actually moving. If the rollers have dirt in them, the tape rides over the rollers, and you're going to hear that. It's going to cause the tape to screw up or warble and stuff like that. So in this case, it's not that bad. Now, at this point, I thought maybe we should actually look at what a ball bearing is for all of these people that are just following along and really have no idea what a ball bearing is. So this is a picture of the actual bearing, or one of the actual bearings that's inside this. This is the same as all 12 of those bearings, and including the other ones on the tension arms that we already worked on. The beauty of the Swiss is they use the same size bearing everywhere throughout, so it made it a little easier to work on and a little easier for them to assemble this, since they're all the same size bearing. Now this is a cutaway of that bearing there. So you can see there's what they call an outer raceway, an inner raceway, and then the balls run on a little cage inside there. And there's a seal on either side, but there's a little gap so you can actually get lubrication and stuff in there. You shouldn't have to do that. But what we're doing here is where I'm soaking these bearings in alcohol and cleaning out the old grease and dirt and grit, and then re-lubricating them with a grease that's actually forced down into the bearings. You actually pack the grease in through the sides, in through those seals there, and it will get down into where the balls are, and it repacks the bearings. Not the best way, but it does work. And for most of those bearings, it's going to work just fine. If it's a real problem, I have to replace the bearings. Okay, here's a little better view, an exploded view of the bearing. You could see that there's balls, actual single balls in there. Cage kind of holds them in place. They ride on that inner race and the outer race. See, they're grooved, so the actual balls will run around in there and guide itself within the bearing. And then the seals are just stopping stuff from getting into the bearing. There's different kinds of bearings. This is just what's used in here, and that's the best explanation I can give you for what a bearing does. All right, let's have a closer look at the tape roller guidelines. So first off, here's the pivot point on which this arm swings. And here's this little nylon rivet that's on the front. This is very important because this connects to a piece of metal, which is the cover plate. And the cover plate will cover up the slot as this pivot arm moves. It's a little hard to understand, but here it is. You could see the slot, and there's the cover right there. That cover is a piece of metal attached to it. And the same thing happens on the right-hand side. There's the pivot point and the little nylon stud, I guess you can call it. Just the swing arm moves, the stud pulls the cover open and closed, and that's it. Now a closer look at the center section of that shows the same thing. There's a pivot point for the tape lifter, and there's a pivot point for the actual pinch roller. Both of them just swivel outwards. Now let's take the entire assembly and look at the bottom side of it, because we're noticing all these pivots and these arms that swing, but you don't really know how this happens. So this is the whole assembly tipped over on its back, sort of. On the wheels you can see here. So take a look at this nylon roller here. There's another nylon roller here. And there's one up here. And finally one more right here. Now let's take a closer look at those rollers. This here is actually the right-hand side, so that's the right roller and the pinch roller. And this is the left-hand side, which is the left roller and the tape lifter. Now, in order to operate these arms, these rollers that I just showed you fit down into the deck and will touch against these cams here. And the cams are connected to servo motors underneath. So that's what makes this lifter mechanism actually operate. Well, I hope that wasn't too confusing. Hopefully you've learned something about how a tape deck works, especially a multi-track tape deck like this. And if you have any questions or comments, just let me know. Just put it down in the comment field. I'll try to help you out. Explain anything we haven't already covered, or explaining something that's coming up. But anyway, in the future, we're going to cover a little more of the tape deck, top deck of this tape deck. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, thumbs up, and hit the bell for notifications. I'll see you in the next one.